Okay, so we are on Daf Kof Lamed Zayin, and we are planning to finish the Perek this evening, the 19th Perek, and start the 20th. The 20th Perek will be about preparing food on Shabbat, and the rest of this Perek was more about Berit Milah and Shabbat, days when it conflicts and what we do, and some really interesting cases. We'll also see the various berachot that we make on during a Berit Milah. All come from this daf. So that's some nice, beautiful berachot and some practical things. Okay, so here's the interesting case. There were two babies, and one was was born on Shabbat, one was born on Sunday, and therefore the Brit Milah on the 8th day is going to be Shabbat on Sunday. And he got mixed up. And the one that was supposed to get the Berit on Sunday, the Mohel did on Shabbat instead. So this is a problem because that's only the 7th day, and the baby is not even chayav to get a Brit Milah before the 8th day. So in this case, he violated Shabbat by causing a wound. And it was not a mitzvah Brit Milah. Didn't have to do it on that day. Didn't have to do it at all, and so therefore simply violated Shabbat, and therefore chayav to bring korban chatat. It was a mistake. So okay. Echad lamol, but what about a different case? Echad lamol ba'erev Shabbat, v'echad lamol b'Shabbat. If one baby was meant to be done, have a Brit Milah on Friday, but for some reason it didn't happen. I don't know. It was delayed. And the second baby is supposed to be on Shabbat. And instead of doing the Brit Milah on the one that the 8th day was on Shabbat, they did the one that the 8th day was on Friday. The one that was on Friday, you can't do it on Shabbat. That's not the 8th, that's the 9th day. So you have to, that one you should have pushed off on Sunday, till Sunday. But instead, by mistake, they did it on Shabbat. They're thinking it was the other baby. Because it still says still chayav. Same as the case before. The 8th day baby, you're allowed to do. Any other baby, you're not allowed to violate Shabbat. And now you violated Shabbat, even though you performed the Brit Milah. The 9th day is not the 8th day, no good. But here's what's interesting. Rabbi Yoshua poter. Rabbi Yoshua reasons that although you shouldn't have done this, but since you did fulfill a mitzvah because it was after the 8th day, therefore, it's not the same as any other sin offering where you simply do a sin. Here, you did it with the mitzvah, and therefore patur. Although in the case when it was when it was only 7th day, there's no mitzvah. Therefore chayav. Okay, that's the Mishnah. The Gemara is going to have 3 different variations on this machloket. One as we had it, and then 2 others where Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yoshua are arguing different cases. One of them is that they are not arguing this case, but they're arguing about the case above, and then yet a third one. So we'll see the reasonings for each variation. Rav Huna matneh chayav, Rav Yehuda matneh patur. Rav Huna has what we just had, where he says chayav in the first, but Rav Yehuda has a different version of the Mishnah, in which it says patur, and you switch the cases around. Okay, let's do one by one. First, we'll examine the Rav Huna, which is straightforward. That's what we just said. Rav Huna matneh chayav detanya. We have a baraita that spells it all out. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, lo nechilku Rabbi Elazar v'Rabbi Yoshua al mi shehayu lo shene tinokot, echad amor b'Shabbat ve'echad amor achar Shabbat. V'shachach umal et shel achar Shabbat b'Shabbat shu chayav. So according to this version, same as what we just read, if you have one baby supposed to be on Shabbat and one supposed to be on Sunday, everyone agrees that if you did the wrong one, it's chayav because you did it on the 7th day on Shabbat rather than the 8th day, and there's no mitzvah at all. So everyone agrees chayav. Aman nechleku, amishayu lo shene tinokot, echad amor b'erev Shabbat ve'echad amor b'Shabbat, v'shachachu malat she'erev Shabbat b'Shabbat, she'Rabbi Eliezer mechayev chatat, v'Rabbi Yoshua poter. What they disagree with is if it's the 9th day baby that you do on Shabbat, Rabbi Yoshua says he did a mitzvah. Rabbi Eliezer says chayav anyway. It's not the 8th day. And they both draw an analogy from the sin offering for idolatry. in Bamidbar 15, it talks about the bringing a korban chatat, and there the rabbi is associated with the sin of idolatry, and so in order to be chayav a korban chatat, has to be similar in many ways to the sin of idolatry. It says there bayad rama as opposed to bayad rama. Okay, so that's how they derive it. So now we're going to see their reasoning. Rabbi Eliezer sabar k'avodah zara. Ma avodah zara amar chamana la ta'avid v'chi'avid mechayev hachanameh la'shena. So it's similar to avodah zara in that is avodah zara says you can't do it. If you did avodah zara, you bring korban chatat. Here too, it doesn't matter if it's you did a brit milah on a 7-day-old baby or a 9-day-old baby. You're not allowed to do brit milah that day. You did a brit milah, you're chovel, so you bring korban chatat. Rabbi Yoshua, atam de la mitzvah, ha mitzvah. Rabbi Yoshua says no, it's not like idolatry. If someone does idolatry, they're not doing a mitzvah at the same time. But here, although he wasn't supposed to, because it's a 9-day-old baby, but still he performed the mitzvah brit milah, and therefore he does not have to bring a korban chatat. Where if it's a 7th-day-old baby, then he does have to because he didn't fulfill a mitzvah. Okay, so that's Rav Huna's version. Now Rav Yehuda matneh patur. Now a second version, which is more mekel, or pushing everything to be more mekel. The Tanya Amar Rabbi Meir, lo nechleku Rabbi Eliezer Rabbi Yoshua mishahiu lo shene tinokot echad amor be'erev Shabbat ve'echad amor b'Shabbat ve'shachachu malat she'erev Shabbat b'Shabbat shu patur. Everyone agrees that if there's one that's supposed to be on Shabbat and one's supposed to be on Sunday, and to do the Sunday one on Shabbat, so it's a 9-day-old baby, everyone agrees patur because it did a mitzvah. Right? It did brit milah. Sure, wasn't on the day, but it was, well past. Sorry, Erev Shabbat, one on Friday. It's supposed to be on Friday and one on Shabbat. So by the time Shabbat comes along, the one that should have been on Friday was the 8th day. Now was the 9th day. So everybody agrees patur because it's past the 8th day. What do they disagree on? They disagree when there's 2 babies. One should have been on Shabbat and one should have been on Sunday. And you took the Sunday one and did it on Shabbat. Rabbi Eliezer here says chayav because it's only a 7-day-old baby. It doesn't require any brit milah. Rabbi Yoshua poter. Rabbi Yoshua says exempt even in this case. Why? I mean, one reason we could have thought is maybe Rabbi Yoshua thinks that it is a proper brit milah, even if it's on the 7th day. I mean, you're supposed to wait till the 8th day, but But anyway, the Gemara doesn't say that. Rather gives a different reason. Still, we have to make an analogy with idolatry, which is the paradigm of korban chatat. It says it has to be like avodah zarah. You shouldn't do it, and here you did it. So you have to bring your chayav in this case. Well, he only says chayav if it's a 9-day-old baby, right? I'm sorry, 7-day-old baby. The only chayav it's a 7-day-old baby. He agrees, according to this version, if it's a 9-day-old baby, that everyone agrees patur. So it means that even here, well, you did a mitzvah, so it's fine. But Rabbi Yoshua, here's the difference. Hatam la tared mitzvah, hacha tared mitzvah. So it adds the word tared. Rabbi Yoshua says, in the case of idolatry, you're not involved, you're not occupied in trying to do a mitzvah. Whereas here, you're trying to do a mitzvah. You don't really do it because it's not the right day, but since you were even simply trying to do it, so patur. And that's the reason why, in this case, Rabbi Yoshua says, even patur in all cases, whether it's a 9-day-old baby or even a 7-day-old baby, and Rabbi Eliezer does not agree. He says if it's a 7-day-old baby, then chayav. Okay, so that was version number 2. Now we have version number 3, which seems paradoxical. So we're going to see, it doesn't seem to make sense, but we're going to try to make sense out of it. Taneh Rabbi Chaya, Omer Haya Rabbi Meir, Lo nechleku Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Yoshua. Amar she'ami shehayu lo shnei tinokot, echad amol be'erev Shabbat ve'echad amol b'Shabbat. Okay. They all agree that if you had 2 babies, one was supposed to be on Friday and one's supposed to be on Shabbat, and you took the Friday one, so Friday was the 8th day, that means Shabbat is the 9th day, and you do it on the 9th day, everyone agrees chayav. even though it's past the day, past due, and it is a mitzvah. Still, everyone says chayav. So this one's much more machmir. What do they disagree about? על מי שהיו לו שני תינוקות, אחד למול ואחר שבת, ואחד למול בשבת. ושכח אומר שלאחר שבת בשבת, שרבי אליעזר מחייב חטאת ורבי יהושע פוטר. What do they disagree about? When it was one supposed to be on Sunday and one on Shabbat, and you took the Sunday one by mistake and did it on Shabbat, so it's only 7 days old. And here, Rabbi Eliezer says chayav still, and Rabbi Yoshua says patur. Now, this doesn't make much sense. Why would you say chayav for a 9-day-old baby, but you did on Shabbat, but patur for a 7-day-old baby that you did on Shabbat, whereas there's no chiyuv yet? So this seems paradoxical. So we ask about this. Hashta Rabbi Yoshua sefa dela ka'abid mitzvah poter, yesha de ka'abid mitzvah michayev. In the second case, when 7-day-old is not doing mitzvah, he says it's okay. Whereas in the first case, where you're doing a mitzvah, it's 9-day-olds, he says chayav. What's the deal? Amre deber biyanai yesha kegon shekadam umal shel Shabbat be'erev Shabbat delo nitana Shabbat lidachot. In the first case, what happened is you took the one that was supposed to get a brit milah on Shabbat, and by mistake, you did the brit milah on Erev Shabbat. You got the babies mixed up. So now that you did that one on the 7th day, right, and now Shabbat started, well, now you know you're not supposed to do any brit milah on Shabbat, because the one that was on Shabbat you did already, so you don't do it again. And the one was supposed to be on Friday, forgot to do on Friday. Well, now you got to wait till Sunday. So in this case, you had no permission to do any brit milah on Shabbat. Therefore, lo nitna Shabbat lidachot, you should not have dismissed, overridden Shabbat. Whereas sefa nitna Shabbat lidachot. In the second case, when was supposed to be on Shabbat, one was supposed to be on Sunday, and by mistake, you did the Sunday one on Shabbat. Okay, but you already had a permission slip to do a brit milah on Shabbat. You used it for the wrong baby. All right, so that's the mistake. But you started with some permission, and therefore that case is actually more lenient. Okay, brilliant. And last comment, Amar Rav Asher Rav Kahana, Resha Nameh nitena Shabbat idachot legabe tinokot alma. Rav Asher disagrees with this and says, no, even in the first case, it's true. I took the one that was supposed to be on Shabbat, I did it on Friday. But still, in the world, someone was born on Shabbat. Someone, there's a general permission. You don't need permission slip for each and every case. There's a general permission to do brit milah on Shabbat, and so this person, he free mixed it up, and so it's the same thing. Like Abraham However, we answer that for this person, to this mohel, he had 2 jobs. He had 2 babies to deal with, and then he did the one that was supposed to be on Shabbat on Friday, and therefore he had no permission. So do we go by the general permission and we apply that? In which case we'd say patur, or each and every person has to have a special permission, and if he doesn't, then you consider that person chayav, even if they made a mistake. Okay, so that's the Mishnah. I hope you followed along different cases, but I'm sure you at least got the principles. Okay, katan nimo lishmona tisha lasara l'chadasa l'shnemasar lo pachot v'lo yoter. A baby can get a brit milah, depending on the scenario, on the 8th day, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th day after they're born, but not before that and not after that. This is similar to the Mishnah in Masechet Megillah, that you could read Megillah on different days, right, depending on what city and depending on the calendar. So the rabbis like calculating all the different possibilities. HaKesad, how so? How could it be on all these days? A regular case, 8 days. However, if it was born Friday afternoon in twilight, and you're not sure if it's Friday or Saturday, then you're going to have to wait the next week. I'm sorry, scratch that. If it's born Saturday night, and you're not sure if it's Saturday late afternoon or Sunday, so then you got to wait next week till Sunday. And so that would be the 9th day, assuming that maybe it really was Shabbat, but you still got to wait till Sunday, so that's the 9th day. Now, if it was born on Friday late afternoon, ben Shabbat, nimol la'asara. then since you're not sure if it's Friday or Saturday, so you can't do the Brit Milah on the Friday of the next week because that might be the 7th day. And you can't do it on Shabbat because you're not sure if it was Shabbat. So we push it off till Sunday. And so Sunday ends up being the 10th day counting from Friday. Now, what if you have Yom Tov, Achar Shabbat, and it was born on Friday, Ben HaShemashot? So we can't do it on Friday because the next Friday might be the 7th day. We can't do it on Shabbat because maybe it was born on Friday. We can't do it on Yom Tov because that's not the day either. Rather, we have to push it till Monday. And that Monday would be the 11th day since it was born. And what if you have Shabbat followed by Rosh Hashanah? And Rosh Hashanah is 2 days, even in Israel. So then it's born Friday afternoon. You don't do it the next Friday, Saturday. You can't do it Sunday or Monday because those are both Rosh Hashanah. You have to wait till Tuesday. And that would be the 12th. Okay, good. So that's cool. That's interesting. And the Talmud Yerushalmi wonders if it's born, let's say Friday, right at 10 minutes after sunset. So why not do the Brit Milah the next Friday, 10 minutes after sunset? And that way, whatever it is, right? What if it was day? Good. If it was night, also good. Okay, but the Talmud Yerushalmi rejects that and says no. Ben HaShemashot is not its own period. Every single second during Ben HaShemashot might be Shabbat or might not be. And so, if you don't do it the same second, or it takes a few seconds to do the Brit Milah, you might violate. You might be in a different, might be Shabbat or not Shabbat altogether. And so we don't do that. But that could have been a creative solution. Okay, the Mishnah then ends and says, Katan hachole en mohalin oto ad sheyavri. However, if a baby is sick, then you push off the Brit Milah as long as needed. It might be certainly more than 12 days. So all these dates are only like official dates when it's still considered the earliest you can in a healthy baby. But in fact, it can be done later. Okay. We could also wonder why the Mishnah chooses Rosh Hashanah as the example and not Yom Tov Sheni Shel Galuyot, right? Maybe it wants to simply bring an example that would apply everywhere, even in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, but there is a possibility that, that it's doing on purpose. Maybe you could do it on Yom Tov Sheni, so there's halachic discussion about that. Okay, Amar Shemuel Halasatu Hamma Notnin Lo Kol Shib'a Lahabroto. Okay, regarding the one baby who's sick, if a baby has fever, then even after the fever leaves him, we give him 7 full days to get better, to heal before doing the circumcision. Not unlike other things. If the baby just has some other disease or problem, once they're better, they're better. But Shemuel, who was known for his medical expertise, said wait 7 full days after a high temperature. So we asked him, do you mean 7 full 24-hour periods or 7 days? See, when we calculate Brit Milah, you have to do that. You have to do the 8th day, but it doesn't require 24-hour periods, right? If the baby is born right before sunset on one day, we count that as day 1 already, right? And then you could do it in the morning on the 8th day, even though it's less than 8 24-hour periods. So that's the question: is it full 7 days or 7 days the way we count for other things? Tashema de Taneluda, Yom Habrato, Yom Yevaledo. Okay, the sage in Luda said that the day you're born is like the day you get better is like the day you're born. Not sure what the context is that he said that. Maybe he's saying in general, when someone is very sick and then they get better, it's like they're reborn. Anyway, so we learn from this. So maybe he's comparing them. So just like regarding Brit Milah, it's not 7 24-hour periods. So too here, it's just 7 days. It doesn't matter how long, what time of the day. Lo adif yom habrato yom yivaledo. Yom yivaledo la ba'anan ma'at le'et. V'lo yom habrato ba'anan ma'at le'et. No, not necessary to make this connection. In fact, the day of getting better is more important. And so when you're born, you don't have to wait 24-hour period, but rather, but when you're sick, it's best to wait that long. It's the time that's needed for the baby to get fully back to its original strength, needs all of that time. And so better to wait the full amount. Okay, good. Next Mishnah. I don't think Shemuel is having in mind and saying that after it gets better, then wait 7 days so that the Brit Milah will be on the 8th day. Right? I don't think it's a matter of being on the 8th day because he only applies it to a fever, not to anything else. Okay, but earlier in the Pedic, we learned that if someone does Brit Milah on Shabbat and didn't do the full job, then if there are still some shreds of skin that invalidate the circumcision, then he can go back even on Shabbat and complete the job. So now we want to just define what are these shreds of skin that make the circumcision invalid. If there is flesh, means skin, that covers most of the corona, most of the top of the member, then it's no good. And when you say most of it, it means either by circumference or by the height of it. Have to remove most of it in both measurements. And if you don't, then the circumcision is not good. And one effect of that is that if a person is a Kohen, the Kohen cannot eat terumah, because an Arel cannot eat terumah. If the baby was very fat and just the extra skin and flesh and fat from around covers over the corona, and it looks like he doesn't have a Brit Milah, even though you did the Brit Milah, you took off the foreskin, but the other skin is so much, then you should fix it, because people will look at it and see and think that he didn't get Brit Milah, even if he did. So then one should also do something about that. Now, in addition to doing the Milah itself, which is taking off the foreskin, also you have to, Biri'ah means the membrane that's underneath the skin also has to be torn and pulled back, folded back. That is also a requirement. If you didn't do that, it's like you didn't do a Brit Milah at all. Okay, so these are, very strict requirements, and there is a theory that the reason for all this is because there were people in Roman times who were moshech orlatam. They did various procedures to undo their Brit Milah. A lot of things were done in naked in Greek culture, and so these people were embarrassed about their Jewish sign, and so tried to undo it by some painful procedures, hanging little weights on whatever skin is left and pulling it down until the skin stretched and it looked like the person had a foreskin. So obviously that could only be done if there is some skin left or some of the membrane that's there that can be pulled on. And so perhaps this Mishnah, this requirement, we don't really know how it was done in biblical times, but we see Sipora does it just with a stone, so it couldn't have been very precise. But perhaps the rabbis in the Mishnah are being so mahmir on getting, the majority of the skin and the membrane and making sure that all that is not left, to make sure that the people will not be able to do that procedure of undoing it.
Rabbi?
Yeah.
What's terumah? What does it mean to eat terumah?
What is terumah? Good question. Terumah means the gifts that people give from their fruits to the Kohen. All right. So these are special gifts that are given to the Kohen. That only a Kohen can eat. It has to be tahor. In other words, if it touched a dead mouse or something, then it cannot be eaten. And the Kohen who eats it has to have a Brit Milah. Okay. That's the Mishnah. The Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Abina, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, Bar Abba, Amar Rav. Basara chofet rov govha shel atara. So he's explaining what we just said, that if the flesh, that skin is covering most of the height of the corona, that is also not good, not only of the circumference of it. ואם היה בעל בשר, מה שמל קטן מסורבב בבשר, ראינו אותו כל זמן שמתקשה ונראה מהול, אינו צריך למול. ואם לאו, צריך למול. This Shemuel, again, the doctor that we saw before, that regarding that child who's very fat, so we see when he's erect, he looks like he is mahul, so then it's fine, you leave him alone, right? But even when he's erect, it still looks like there's so much skin that's covering the top, then you have to do some kind of procedure to pull that skin back. Rabban Shimon ben Gamaliel Omer. That was said by Shemuel. We have a Beraita that says something similar, almost the exact same language. Katana misurba b'basar inoto. כל זמן שמתקשה ואינו נראה מהול צריך למולו. אם לאו, אינו צריך למולו. Here it just says the same thing, but just in the opposite, with opposite language. Anytime that he is erect and you cannot see that it's not evident that he got a brit milah, then you have to do it. But if it is evident, then you don't have to. So it just says the same thing in negative. My benai, what's the difference between this formulation and that formulation? If it's not clear, it's kind of an in-between case. So then Shemuel's language sounds like you still have to do something. Whereas according to this second language, it's just said in a negative, in the between case would be okay. All right, and now we said mal velo para. Okay, pulling back the membrane. Tanura banan, hamal omer, asher kedushan mustav sivanu ala milah. Here we get all the berachot. The one who's actually doing the brit milah says ala milah. He's doing it. Avi ben omer, asher kedushan mustav sivanu achniso bebrito shel Abraham abinu. Right, the obligation is really on the father to do the brit milah. He can appoint the mohel to do it, but still the father is doing the mitzvah. So there's kind of two berachot, even though it's only one mitzvah. The father says that God commanded us to bring the child in to the Berit of Abraham, since Berit Midah was first commanded to Abraham. Omedim omerim, כשם שנכנס לברית, כך ייכנס לתורה, לחופה, ומעשים טובים. And the guests, everybody who was there, who's watching, says, just like the father got the merit to bring him into the Berit, the baby into the Berit, so too he should come into Torah as he grows and he starts studying Torah, and then get married, and finally to Ma'asim Tovim when he becomes an adult and does good things in his community, in the world. Okay. ומברך אומר, אשר קידש ידיד מבטן, חוק בשערוסם, וסעשיו חתם באות ברית קודש. על כן, בזכר זאת, אין חי חלקנו, ציווה להסיר ידידות שערנו, משחד למען בריתו אשר שם בבשרנו, ברוך אתה השם, קורא את הברית. Okay, so a fourth thing, we had the mohel, the father, the bystanders, and then the mevarech. Someone says this. Now, usually the rabbi says it, or it could be, anyone can say this beracha. It's more of a berkot shevach, not asher kedishanu. And so this is really a very, very beautiful beracha. We still say almost the same exact language. We bless Hashem that he kiddush, that he sanctified our friend from the womb. So who's our friend, right? What are we talking about? The baby here that's in front of us, our friend? Now, it seems to be talking about Yitzhak, right? Yitzhak was mikudash from the womb. How so? Well, he's the first one to get circumcision as a baby. And Abraham was commanded before he was even born to do the circumcision. Furthermore, according to Rabbi Sassoon, the way he explains Brit Milah is that it's when a father has a Brit Milah on his member and then conceives a child, right? So that seed passes through the cut of the Brit Milah. So actually, past the that seed that will become a baby passes through the Berit, and so therefore is sanctified from the womb, right? Already in the womb, it already passed through the Berit. And so actually doing the Brit Milah on the next baby, right, is already ensuring that their children will pass through the Berit. And so that explanation, I think, fits this language here very well. And so Chok Bisherosam and marked his decree, right? And She'ero. She'ero means another word for flesh. And his children, Hatam, it's almost like a stamp, almost like a stamp a coin. The person is stamped with this sign of the Holy Covenant. And because through the merit of this mitzvah, God, right, the God of the living God, should saveh here it says siva. We say saveh, I think is better. Saveh, we hope that you will command to save yedidut she'erenu mishachat. Okay, it's a couple of interpretations. Either this means that yedidut she'erenu, that this baby should be saved from shachat, from Gehinam, because look, now they're a part of the Berit. And I think is talking more generally that all of our friendship, our cohort, our nation, right, should be saved from evil, from destruction, from persecution. This becoming part of the Berit, which so often people, foreign nations, look down upon and caused as a reason for persecution. God, you should see this and its merit and protect us from that. Okay. Leman berito, because of this berit that you have placed on our flesh, and we praise God. Koret haberit, God who cuts the deal, makes the treaty through the berit milah. Okay, very interesting, slightly difficult beracha, but certainly very beautiful. Hamalat hagerim, someone who circumcises a convert, says, the one doing berit milah says the same beracha. It's the same beracha as a baby. And bevarech omer ashir kedishanu, but the mevarech, meaning a bystander, an elder, whoever, someone who you honor to give the blessing for the event, says ashir kedishanu v'sotav v'sivanu lamul et hagerim ulatif mimenu dam berit shel maleh dam berit lo nitkaimu shamayim va'aretz shneimar lo beriti yomam v'layla chukot shamayim va'aretz lo samti baruch ata Hashem koret haberit. Interestingly, the ger, the convert himself, doesn't say a beracha. It will be difficult for him to say a beracha because he's not Jewish yet before he does it. And also it's not mitzvah, particularly for him to do it before he, in other words, you don't have to become a convert. So he can't really say a berkot mitzvah. Instead, the mevarech, who, when it comes to a baby, doesn't say berkot mitzvah, but rather berkot shevach. It's the bystanders who kind of represents the community saying a beracha of mitzvah combined with shevach also. So, God, you commanded us to do circumcision on those who would convert, or to draw a drop of blood if they were circumcised already, and if not for the blood of the berit, the whole world would not exist. Right? We only exist because of the teachings, the values that are encoded in the berit, as it says, if not for my berit, day and night, then I would not have created the laws of heavens and earth. And so we end Koret HaBerit. Okay, very good. And now if someone comes and converts a slave, which similarly, if you, when you acquire a Canaanite slave, so they undergo a kind of like a conversion, and even male or female have to go and go to the mikveh, and the males have to get circumcision, and then they have to do mitzvot to set the same level that women have to. And so they get b'di milah, and you say ashir kedishanu ala milah. The mohel doesn't say the same as the same beracha. It's doing the same act. And the mevarech, the bystanders, the people around, say ashir kedishanu lamul et ha'abadim ulatif mehem dam berit shemaden dam berit chokot shamayim va'aretz lo nitkayemu shneimar im lo beriti Yomam v'layla chokot shamayim v'aretz lo samti baruch ata Hashem koret haberit. Right, similar idea that we have also a berkot mitzvah. There's a mitzvah to b'di milah on those acquired servants, bring them into the household, and the importance, the kind of cosmic importance of b'di milah. And we end with those nice words, koret haberit. Actually, 3 pinakim start with the word Rabbi Eliezer, so we have to specify this is the Rabbi Eliezer of Milah and not one of the other chapters.
There's no beracha for the owner?
No beracha for the owner. Right, it's not. Yeah, I guess, right, whose obligation is it? Yeah, you're right. I guess it's the owner would have to pay for it, would have to, make sure it happens, but it's more, it's not like a father to a son, where the father has to do it for the son. This is a general obligation that all servants who are required have to get by a Jew, have to get Brit Milah. That's a good point. Okay, good. Let's just start the next perek. We'll go right into it. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Tolin et hamashmeret b'yom tov, v'notnin teluya b'Shabbat. So we're talking about preparing food on Shabbat and Yom Tov, and we're talking about this mashmeret, which is a strainer. It's like kind of cloth tied at the end, and you hang, and you wouldn't put grapes in it. I don't know why they put a picture like this. Wouldn't do much if there's a bunch of grapes in it. Rather, you put wine in it, and it strains the wine. So according to the Rabbi Eliezer, you're allowed to hang this on Yom Tov, on a pole, and on Shabbat, and so you can hang it on Yom Tov. You can hang it and pour wine into it. On Shabbat, you're not allowed to hang it, but you can pour wine into it if it's already there. It's already hung. Rabbi Eliezer, that's Rabbi Eliezer's mekel. Chachamim omerim en tolin et hamashmeret b'yom tov. Chamim say you can never hang it, not on Shabbat, not on Yom Tov, and you cannot use it on Shabbat. You can't even put wine into it on Shabbat. So on Shabbat you can't do anything. The only thing you can do is if it's already hung on Yom Tov, then you can pour wine into it and strain on Yom Tov. That's it. Okay, that's the Mishnah. Of course, Rabbi Eliezer is the same as Rabbi Eliezer as before, right? Here, this perek starts with Rabbi Eliezer also, right? Whereas Rabbi Eliezer is generally mekel on preparations. Here, in this case, preparing food is a mekel. Okay, so let's see. Hashta Rabbi Eliezer, osufe ohel aray la masfinan mebad lechatechila shareh. Now, what's the problem of hanging this basket? It seems to be a problem making a tent, right? It's taking up space. You're hanging it up. It's kind of a covering. So we have a question about this. Rabbi Eliezer does not permit one to take an already existing tent and expand it. So all the more so, he should not allow one to make a tent from nothing to make a tent at all. So why does he permit doing this, putting this up on Yom Tov? Okay, what halakha are we referring to? Actually, we learned this halakha a few perakim ago. Ma'hi ditnan. פקע כחלון, רבי אליעזר אומר בזמן שקשור ותלוי פוקקין בו, ואם לאו אין פוקקין בו. אנחנו אומרים בין כך ובין כך פוקקין בו. We're talking about the window, the covering of a shutter of a window, which would be like a wooden board that you put into the window. So the Berit says, if it's connected and hanging, not dragging on the floor, then you can put it there because it's clear that this is supposed to be a window shutter. It's right there. That's what it's made for. But if not, you can't. Hachamim say, doesn't matter whether it's hanging there or even if it's dragging on the floor, it's still allowed. Now, what's the reason for this? We saw. Everyone agrees you cannot create a tent on Yom Tov from nothing. But they do argue about adding to a pre-existing tent. The Berit says you can never add to it. Chamim say you can add to it. And the point is, by taking this window shutter and putting it in the window, you're adding to the tent. You're adding more covering. Imagine if it's a skylight, right? Or anywhere it is, it's adding more protection to the existing structure. Okay, so that's our question. How come he allows this? So we answer, everyone agrees that you're allowed to cook on Yom Tov, right? And that's the difference between Yom Tov and Shabbat. The Yehuda says even the preparations for it, right, you're also allowed to do. And so in this case, this is not food itself, because even hanging this up is not doing anything with food, but it's a preparation for the making of the food. And so he agrees with Rabbi Yehuda, so that's why he allows it. Hold on. Even the Rabbi Yehuda only said you could do this for the preparations that you can't do before, because it wouldn't be as good. The food wouldn't taste as good. But if you could do it before, you got to do it before. And in this case, this thing you hang up from before Shabbat, it's not going to change the taste of the wine, so you should have done it before. So the Yehuda would not agree to this. We answered that Rabbi Eliezer, Adifa mid Rabbi Yehuda. Actually, Rabbi Eliezer goes further than Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Eliezer, similar to the way he allows all the preparations for Brit Milah, so too, he'll allow all the preparations, even if you could have done it beforehand, even if it's not even directed on the food on the food itself. In all those cases, Rabbi Eliezer would. This is Rabbi Eliezer ben Hurkenus goes past Rabbi Yehuda. And by the way, this makes sense because Rabbi Eliezer is a second generation Tana. Rabbi Yehuda is a fourth generation Tana. So even to say, as they did to begin with, that Rabbi Eliezer thinks like Rabbi Yehuda was as anachronistic. In fact, Rabbi Eliezer is his own opinion and has nothing to do with making a tent. Rather, this is particularly allowed because it has to do with the preparation, even if those preparation of food, and even that is permitted. Baruch Adonai Olam, amen, amen.